I just listened to every album by Jacula and Antonius Rex, and here are my thoughts. And yes, I am back after a couple of comically insane weeks in my personal life, and I have a few bands to catch up on. I think I can make 3 videos today, because I have a few bands to talk about that should be pretty quick, and then a couple bands shortly to follow. Within the next week or so, I'm going to make an Iron Butterfly video and a Kiss video, as I'm almost done going through Kiss right now, and then Pink Floyd should follow shortly after that. But we're talking about Jacula and Antonius Rex right now, which is a kind of a cult, very progressive, experimental band. Sometimes they were rock. Most of the time they were kind of neoclassical. I didn't know anything about them before going in. I had only found them the same way that I found Black Widow and Coven, which was when I was just looking for occult rock. And it is the same band. They just went through a name change at a point in their career, and they actually flipped back and then flipped back again between the names. But yeah, let's get started with Jacula. What constitutes as their first album is actually a little bit contested. The band claims that their first album was In Cauda Semper Stat Venerum. They're Italian. I probably didn't pronounce that right. Who cares? Now, the band claims that they recorded and pressed this in 68, 69. Never officially released it. Only handed it out to people that were involved in the occult rock community in Italy. It was not released until far later. So it was officially released by Black Widow Records in 2001. And Black Widow Records claims that they never had this supposed original taping of it, and so they can't help the band back up the claim that it was released or it was recorded and released in the late 60s. Now you might wonder, why would the band lie about that? I don't have a particular stance on whether they are lying or not, but there is a possible motive of them for lying, and I covered it in my Coven video, where now with hindsight, we see metal has become a very big genre. There is money and recognition in claiming that you had a hand in inventing metal. And this album, while it's primarily, neoclassical, kind of operatic in its foundation, it does include some very heavy riffs from time to time. Riffs that would be impressively heavy for the late 60s. And we're talking like proto black metal kind of riffs and guitar tone. And this album was all right, but as a whole, the band's real crowning achievement is their follow-up album, which is called, I hope I get this right, looks like it's called Tardo Pede in Magiam Verses. Could be Magium Verses. I'm not sure how you'd pronounce that in Italian. But this, out of their whole discography, is their best album. The opening song, UFDEM, has a vocal performance that just sticks out in my mind as one of the most impassioned vocal performances I think I've ever heard. The vocalist on this, it's a female operatic performer. It's actually, from what I read, Antonius Rex's wife. Antonius Rex is the guitarist and the other main songwriter of the band. The rest of the album is strong as well, but if you listen to one song from this whole discography, make it UFDEM. This is where the band changes their name to Antonius Rex after the guitarist and main songwriter, and they released their first album under this new name. This album is called Neque Semper Arcum Tendit Rex. They changed their name, but they don't change their sound. This is still primarily, neoclassical experimental music with some rock elements thrown in. This album seemed to focus a little bit more on trying to be scary, as opposed to the previous two, which could sound a little scary, but were kind of more haunting, as if you were watching an Italian vampire movie from the 70s and this was its soundtrack. This new album under the new name, they made it a little scarier, and that's evident in songs like Devil Letter. After this, they packed 4 releases between 1977 and 1980. They released Zora, which was an okay album, I thought. My two favorite songs were the title track and Monastery. The reason I'm telling you that now is because its cover is Not Safe for Work, and I don't want to include that at the end of the video when I go through my favorite songs. Rally Fun follows shortly after. This, out of the whole discography, this was the band's attempt to be a little bit more commercially digestible. This album I also thought was pretty good, but the overall sound of Jacula and Antonius Rex is kind of all starting to run together for me at this point. It gets a little bit worse with the following release, Anno Demoni. A lot of people consider Anno Demoni to be a low point in their career. I can see where they're coming from, and I partially agree. But this album does have one of my favorite songs from the whole discography, and that song is Jacula the Witch. It is a genuinely very pretty classical-sounding song. This album also has Soul Satan, which is so hilariously bad that I will never forget that song. It's so bad that it's almost endearing. I'll include that song in my final go-round. Just don't think that it's one of my favorites. It's actually really, really bad, and I just still want to share it with you. Then in 1980, they release Preternatural, which was also, just okay, but I'm getting so tired of the band at this point. After this, the band goes quiet until 2004. They do a whole new experiment with like a short film and an album to go along with it called Magic Ritual, which I didn't think was anything super special, but in 2006, they release Switch on the Dark, which to me kind of signified an upswing that the band is now hitting in terms of their creativity. They're getting back into making music, they're feeling the groove. And this takes us through the rest of their discography, where all the albums are pretty good. They released Per Viam in 2009, still under the name Antonius Rex, but then they release Pre Viam in 2011 under the name Jacula again. And then finally closing out their discography in 2012 with Hysterodemonopathy. These last few albums I ran through, these were, pretty good albums that had one or two pretty notable songs on it. So here's my album ranking. The first album, Tardo Pere, is the only album I would consider essential for a Jacula Antonius Rex experience. From Pre Viam to Per Viam, those are albums that I came away with thinking, okay, these were pretty good. And everything after that was just kind of difficult to get through, fewer highlights, and their sound was just kind of all running together. Thank you for watching. Here are my favorite Jacula / Antonius Rex songs.